fledgling entrepreneurs watching this and thinking about doing a hardware startup, like what would be the top piece of advice you'd give that person?
Well, it's a great time to do hardware startups. So if I were just starting with a hardware startup, I would do a couple things. I would start getting out there and networking a lot, because
with hardware startup folks.
With hardware startups, and then also if you're even just thinking about it, start going out to all the tech events in your city. If you're in New York,
are there hubs for this stuff? I mean, is it the typical California, New York, kind of Boston or whatever? Where are the hubs for this?
Yeah, it's pretty much San Francisco and here right now. Okay. I mean, I think if you're talking open source hardware, it's here because we've got like Adafruit and Bug Labs and us. And then if you're talking, and then out in San Francisco, you've got the Fitbit, Robotics, Siftio crew. Actually, Robotics is in Colorado. So, but where you are shouldn't stop you. Just get into it, get out there, make it as modular as possible. Make it so that people can do things with your hardware that you don't expect. Leave openings. Try and be future compatible. We ended up, when we did our first set of electronics, we had all these extra pins. We broke those out so people could use them. And then it turned out we needed to use them as we added more complexity to the machine and started adding upgrades, like the automated build platform. That needed a whole separate plug, and luckily we had a place where we didn't think about we were going to do that, but we had a place for it when we wanted to upgrade. So think about future compatibility, making it more accessible than you plan. And I guess the other thing is start thinking about a lot of being in hardware is being able to get stuff. So as soon as you can start thinking of an idea, just start ordering stuff. Start trying to put prototypes together. Get all the pieces together. That kind of experience of ordering stuff is going to be something you're going to be doing a lot, and so get right into that.
Yeah, just sort of dive in. Okay, and then around financing, you basically you said a very small amount of original angel money, but a lot of ways bootstrapped it through. Yeah. Like a lot of customers were a lot of your initial financing. I mean, in other words, people buying stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, we started with that initial thing, but we literally would spend all the money. And then we would sell more machines, and we'd be like, okay, they're paying for the machines, and now we have to order things. And then back in those days, we had 7-week lead time. So
they would pay first, and that would let you.
And then we'd order stuff as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So the other thing is just be real clear and upfront with your customers. Like at one point, we realized like the motors were going to take an extra 4 weeks, and instead of being like 6 or 7 week lead time, it was going to be like 10 or 11 week lead time.
Yeah.
And we sent them an email basically right away as soon as we heard about that, saying, here's the situation, it's going to be late, we're going to add in a little sugar, little LEDs to kind of as a thank you for being so patient. So do that. If that stuff is going to come up, be real clear with your customers. Don't hide anything from them.
Yeah. And then you decided to raise a small round of financing, which we participated in, Found a Collective. I think we met you through Katarina Fake, who's is on Etsy's board, right? I think you guys are old friends, right? And why did you decide to do that? I mean, you were bootstrapped, doing well.
We kept on running up against the capital issue of just spending everything we had and then having to wait for orders. And so it was one of those things where to have a more stable company, we needed to be able to have a little bit in the bank to use as a cushion. And we wanted to, we needed to start hiring some people, and
so it just gave you a little bit of cushion.
It gave us the ability to think a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then the last thing is maybe if you could just like walk us through like some of the what's going on here.
So what we've got here is we're printing a rocket, and so the material's right here, and it comes off this spool and goes into the extruder here.
Yep.
And then it comes out a teeny tiny little nozzle.
The extruder is like the critical piece, right? Like you're always talking about how you've got a new extruder or something, right?
Yeah. This is our 6th extruder.
Why is that so? I mean, obviously, so it melts it, and then why is it so critical?
Well, it's kind of like a hot glue gun, but it's a lot fancier than that. So, and it's critical because a big part of it is getting this stream of plastic to come out at a consistent rate.
I see.
So, and also being able to stop it and suck it back up when you want to stop it, so it doesn't ooze. So, it's just going around in a circle now, and then it'll go up a little bit and do another one, and then when it's all done, it'll be done.
Why does the bottom move and not the top? Is that...
You know, this was a decision we made early on to make it cheaper and easier to make it happen, because there's no... When we started, our extruder was super big and heavy,
I see.
and it would have taken a lot of torque to move it around.
I see.
But the objects are super light, and this platform can be really light, so it was just a mass thing. And if we had had a few more years, we would have probably just developed, spent a few more years in the extruder, gotten it really small, and then moved that around. But we didn't have that luxury, so we worked with what we had.
So then just you have some motors down there, and then so the extruder, and then the motors, and then the rest of the hard stuff is software, basically, or?
Yeah. So one of the things, so there's a Arduino in here, which is an open source microcontroller project, and then we have a shield that goes on top of that with our electronics that breaks out into a bunch of stepper driver boards. One of the things we did right was we had really nice modular electronics. So if you have a different project and you just need a stepper driver, you can just buy that from us. You don't have to buy the whole board. We actually, about a third of our electronics go to people who don't have a MakerBot, who are just doing cool projects with them. So
cool. That's
been really helpful for us, is to be able to make things that people could use for other stuff.
And then let's talk a little bit about the software. So the software,
sure.
So you don't do any of the CAD software. The CAD software kind of stuff is all done by other people. There's already existing stuff.
Yeah. So
you use a standard format, and you created the Thingiverse website, which people just upload these things in a standard format. So you just have to worry about building a website and letting people search it or whatever, right? And then the rest of it sounds like the main software is the thing that takes the 3D image and figures out how to actually move the extruder in such a way that it creates it, right?
Yeah, so you have your STL file, and we take care of it once you have your design. STL file is
a standard for 3D images, okay?
It's a really simple file format, and everything will output an STL file from, the simplest CAD modeling programs like SketchUp. And
if someone wants to do this today, create an object today, what do you recommend they use?
So if you want to make something right now and you're 3 years or older, go to 3dtin.com.
3dtin.
Make something. Okay. It uses the Thingiverse API, and you can output something. It'll go straight to Thingiverse. And if you don't have a 3D printer, upload it anyway. There's a whole community of 5,000 of these out there, and they'll print them, they'll take pictures, and you'll be able to see your little design kind of emerge into the world.
That's cool, okay. And so the STL file, then, translating that into the actions of this extruder and motor must be the hard part, right?
That's the kind of software snazziness that goes on, is you take your model and you bring it into our software, which is Replicator G. And Replicator G, you can scale it, you can turn it, you can place it where you want on the actual build platform. And then...
so you could have built the the rocket ship on its side, for example, or whatever, okay.
And then the software slices and dices it and turns it into a toolpath. And then you just send it, put it on an SD card or connect it to the machine, and you're off and running.
I see. And I suppose all that's open source too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
We try and be, I think I can't think of anything on here that's not open.
Yeah. Anything else that's cool that we should note about this, or? What are the things that you most want to improve on?
The things I want to improve are making it so you can make bigger things. People always want bigger things. Our first machine was a cupcake, and you could make things about this size.
Well, can you currently design a bigger thing, and then will the software slice it into pieces to tell you how to do it in smaller parts, or no? In other words, I could have created this, and then it would have decided how to cut it up, or no?
It depends on which software you use to design it. If you want to do something like somebody made a U-boat, a submarine, and it's this big, and it can't even turn around in your bathtub. But they made it by making it in this 8 segments that all snap together. So you have to if you want to do big things, you have to think a little bit literally outside the box.
Yeah, okay. But so making bigger things would be one of your primary goals. And what else?
I want to make things, this is a really fast machine. It actually prints things really fast in comparison to other 3D printers. But I want it to go faster. I want more.
So you want faster, and then what about materials?
Yeah, right now we've got ABS and PLA. PLA is biodegradable and smells like waffles when you make things with it. And there's about 30 other materials we want to try out that just literally take lots of time.
What about metal and things? Can you do that?
We did a thing with a foundry here in New York where we took a bunny and that was made out of plastic, and we took it to them, and they cast it and made it in bronze, and it looked so cool. It looked like it had been 3D
Actually,
printed.
so you just did the mold for the
We just took the model and we took it over to them, and they.
But could this thing
charged
ever
us.
actually, like, eventually, do you see any limits to? I mean, can like my mom send me cupcakes through a MakerBot? Like, can you print like frosting and food and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean we.
Well, no, I mean, is it like are there only certain materials that you can do this with, or?
Well, right now we focus on plastics. We have an experimental tool head called the Frostruder instead of the Plastruder.
Okay.
Because it takes a syringe and you can put things in the syringe and print. And we like to print frosting. We called the first one the cupcake because we wanted to be able to decorate cupcakes.
Oh, really? So you actually do have a frosting printer.
And, but we did it with jelly once, and the jelly, there was a seed in the jelly and it stopped up the nozzle and we had a jelly explosion, and the laptop that was next to it has never been the same since.
Okay.
So it's dangerous.
And it looks like the new rocket ship is almost done.
Yeah, let's pull it out.
Okay. And like you were saying before that a lot of people play music when it's done?
Yeah, this one's just, there we go. It's all set.
Nice.
Ready for liftoff.
But what's the story behind the Daft Punk or whatever?
Yeah, so we love Daft Punk, and it turned out like when we were first prototyping the machine, like we would have problems as soon as the music would stop. Mm-hmm. So it became this whole like
superstitious
there's this whole
thing?
superstitious thing around MakerBots where if you have a problem, it's probably because the music stopped. So
Okay.
you should always play Daft Punk music while your MakerBot is going.
Okay. Thank you. That's good. Okay. So here's what we created: another rocket ship.
Lift off.
It's a little stuff at the bottom, I guess. But.
Oh yeah, so this is the little raft, and the raft comes right off.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks.